Now, if you have kids or maybe just a wayward dog, you know that the phrase do not oftentimes falls on deaf ears. We're hoping that people here are a little bit more receptive because this is our do not draft list for 2021. These are players that maybe they burned you in the past. Maybe you don't like their offense. Maybe there's just something about it that just sits wrong with you. Either way, they're players that we think you should probably avoid in your draft list this year. So start us off, Florio. Who are a couple of guys that you are avoiding in 2021?
The first one is Miles Sanders. Look, this guy last year finished as the RB23, and he did not have 20 touches in a game with Jalen Hurts. Plus, the reports are that he has been struggling this summer as a pass catcher and is in jeopardy of losing work to Kenny Gainwell, which would crush his fantasy value and make it really tough for him to return that value as a third-round pick. I'm also scared off of Adam Thielen this year. Last season, he had just 74 catches and 925 yards, but he did salvage his season with 14 touchdowns. That means 33% of his fantasy points came off of touchdowns, the highest rate amongst wide receivers, and as Marcus always says, they are fickle beasts. Plus, the Vikings threw the sixth fewest last year, which makes Adam Thielen a TD-dependent wide receiver 2 on a run-heavy team. I will pass on that in the fourth round.
Well, I'm going to stay in the NFC North and go at Deandre Swift. Now, our researcher, Matt Okada, says he doesn't really worry that much about Jamal Williams taking opportunities away. I disagree. I think Jamal Williams is going to have a pretty sizable role. It certainly doesn't help that Swift is injured right now, and they're not sure about his availability for Week 1. This is going to be a low-scoring offense, which automatically caps his touchdown upside. And then he's falling in that dreaded RB dead zone where it's somewhere between the third and fifth round. I think I would rather take my chances on a wide receiver at that spot, so I'm avoiding Deandre Swift. I'm also avoiding any Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back. And I want to love Ronald Jones. You know me. I want to stick up for the Trojans. Leonard Fournette was great in the postseason. It was playoff Lenny last year, but now they've added Gio Bernard to the mix. A three-headed running back attack's a little bit harder to figure out. Throw in the fact that you got Tom Brady throwing to three top-notch wide receivers in Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Antonio Brown. And that just seems to limit the number of opportunities that these running backs are going to get. So at this point, I'm pretty much hands off with the whole group.
Okay, so I came up with a new metric this past offseason. It is when the running back gets contacted. So I want people to get up to their full speed before they reach any sort of contact, and then I count their yards after contact. You know who has a horrible situation this season? Well, it's Josh Jacobs. That interior O-line forecast to be no bueno, like times 10 or whatever you want to do it for that, which means he's probably going to get contacted before he gets that full head of steam. So for me, this is going to be a frustrating situation where I really like Josh Jacobs, the human, but it's one of the, I don't want to even contend with that one bit. Another team I want nothing to do with, like any player at any position, even though I like Tyrod Taylor, the human being, I just don't want any Texans. I understand that Brandon Cooks is the only guy who's even being drafted in the first 10 rounds this season, but I don't even want anything to do with him. I think this is a cluster. I want nothing to do with clusters. This has no bearing on, what I think of them as human beings, but I think this is a bad situation that's not going to get better anytime soon. So just stay away and go for happier teams with happier players and better situations.
That entire offense looks kind of like a mess right now. So a little bit of caveat emptor when you head into your drafts.